Hi guys, this is Max here with a very self-critical political video. Now, here on the right, you can see my prediction for the US House of Representatives in 2022. And here on my left side, you can see the actual election results. Those are the estimated election results, to be honest, because this country can't fucking count ballots on time. I mean, it's making me go mad. Like, I want to just take my Bible and jag it against the wall and say God has betrayed us, because how on earth can a country like the United States take almost a week now in order to just count fucking ballots? I mean, this is just ridiculous. And we didn't used to have those issues back in the past. We always knew who won on election night. Maybe there'd be one or two races uncalled, but this just goes too far. Anyway, let's move on. We need to talk a little bit about the fact that I was wrong. Republicans won 222 seats. I expected that they'd win 244, so I was off by 22 seats. I expected 32 seats to be gained. In the end, Republicans gained only 10. And my prediction was not super accurate in that regard. But it was still more accurate than the predictions of many people on the right, like Fox News, who predicted a red tsunami with about 60 plus pickups. My estimate was a lot more reasonable. Now, I was wrong to assume that polls, just like in the past, would underestimate Republican support. It seems like polls underestimated Democratic support because, for example, in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz was leading the polls at the very end. Nevertheless, I'd like to say Republicans did badly, Republicans did poorly. Most of this was probably because of Donald Trump kind of lagging around and also because of Roe v. Wade in some way. But for now, I want to focus on the accuracy of my prediction and not on the exact causations and why what happened, and I just accidentally flipped the district in Indiana. Oops. All right, now. Let's take a look at what exact districts I got wrong. In general, where I had the I wasn't really off a lot in New York. In New York, I only got a single district wrong. I was not correct on the New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut districts. I wasn't really that well in the New England area. I also thought that Pennsylvania would overall be a better night for Republicans. Actually, I just expected Republicans to do better all over the place. The only state where I was pretty accurate with my prediction is California. I think I almost got a 1-to-1 match. I predicted every single district in California correctly except for one where I actually did overestimate the Democrats a little bit, because that district right here, you can see, yeah, that ended up going red, and I thought it'd go to the Democrats. Anyway, for the most part, I did overestimate Republican support, especially in the Rust Belt, and I really need to work on that. Anyway, now let's move on to the Senate level. In the Senate, I even gave actual margins. I mean, for the House level, it would have been too difficult to give an exact margin for everything. I've done that in the past, but that would have just basically been guessing, and I didn't want to do that. My final Senate prediction was here. And for the
Hi.
Senate, I said that those would be the margins. That were the actual margins. Now, there were a few things that I got wrong here. Colorado was right. Nevada, I thought would be tilt Republican. It ended up going tilt Democrat. Arizona, I thought would be tilt Democrat. It ended up being likely Democrat, but I did call the race correctly. Wisconsin, I thought would be lean and ended up being tilt. Iowa was likely instead of safe. Same thing with Missouri. Ohio, I thought would be lean Republican. I was really surprised by how little Tim Ryan's excellent campaign was able to change the outcome of this race. I mean, it is really awful how polarizing people have become, that they don't really seem to care about individual candidates anymore and view every Republican and every single Democrat as a puppet of the national establishment. Anyway, Ohio overestimated the Democrats. North Carolina I got right. Florida ended up being safe instead of likely. Georgia I thought would be tilt Republican. And Pennsylvania I thought Dr. Oz would pull it off, mostly because I did think that Republicans would do better overall, and since Pennsylvania is the epitome of a swing state, I thought by like 0.001% Dr. Oz would win at the end of the day. That was not the case. I was pretty accurate on New Hampshire. I thought Connecticut would be likely and ended up being safe, but I thought New York would be safe and it ended up being likely. That's quite interesting. Same thing with Illinois. through most of the election season, I actually had Illinois being likely too, but one day before the election, I was like, nah, this race is not going to be competitive, and Tammy Duckworth, no matter how much I personally hate her, is pretty popular, so therefore I thought it would be safe. Well, that didn't end up being the case. Now, in terms of margins, I was never off more than two categories. In the case of Arizona, that was the only time where I was two categories off from the actual result. Other than, oh, and Pennsylvania. Arizona, Pennsylvania, there was two categories off in those two states, but not a single other state I got it terribly wrong, and I also do think that Mike Lee won by a safe margin. I'm not entirely sure though. And yeah, I think I did an overall fairly good job at predicting this election. However, and that can't be overlooked, I did get three races wrong: Nevada, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Uh, Georgia is not sure yet. Georgia might go to Herschel Walker, then I'd be right on that one. I do remember I thought it wouldn't go to a runoff, but apparently it will, and that's what's going to end up happening. Well, that's it for today. Uh, got got 20 House seats and three to two Senate seats wrong. Not the best quota for a first time prediction, but at least it was somewhat reflective of the national environment and wasn't a complete misrepresentation of what would be going to happen. Have a good day, guys. Max out. Bye bye. Oh, and by the way, Alaska was safe. I thought it would be likely.